They said it couldn't be done. They said it wouldn't last. White man, black man. America F1. America F1 coming to you straight from San Francisco, California. Sherman Tillman, Michael Lawler. America F1.
We would be honored.
What's happening?
If you would join
Last race of the year.
Last race of the year. I'm going to see if I can pronounce
Dhabi.
it right. Abu Dhabi.
You know, he has a problem with pronunciation.
Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Is that right? Did I pronounce it right?
At Marina Bay.
2023, and it's all finally over. The Max domination, the Max season, the season of Max, Super Max. It's all over.
Thank baby Jesus.
Thank baby Jesus.
Remember the first race of the
Like
year?
hell
we came
I
in
don't.
here and we
Like-
wanted to congratulate Red Bull and Max Verstappen on the
We
23
did.
We did. And it was exactly
Like
how.
we right off the bat, we said that this is going to be the season of Max. But let's dive into the numbers really quickly. Highest percentage of wins in a season. Most wins in a season.
You can't compare that because when Schumacher's there, he only had 16 races a year. So.
Most points in a season.
Yeah, of course.
Most consecutive wins. Most podiums in a season.
Oh, so boring.
Most laps led in a season. Highest percentage of laps led in a season. Most consecutive wins from pole. Most wins from pole in a season. Biggest points gap between first and second in the standings. Most consecutive races as a championship leader. Most consecutive points scored. Most consecutive top 2 finishes. Most hat tricks in a season. Most pit stops by the winning driver in one race. Only driver to win 3 times in one country. Only driver to lead 1,000 laps ever in a season. He's also one of only 3 other drivers to complete every race or every lap in a season. The other one was Michael Schumacher, and the other one was Lewis Hamilton. Those are the only 3 people to ever complete every lap of every race.
You only have to win by 1 point to win the championship. So all those
season.
ridiculous statistics you just said are nonsense. Next year, it's probably going to be the same unless the Mercedes come out with
Don't
the Red Bull.
fail me
I
again.
think that's what's going to happen. I think they're going to come out with a car that looks because they know what the bottom of the car looks like now. Everybody does. So
I think they should take Adrian Newey and they should let him go to Haas.
they don't have any money for Adrian Newey. That would be cool though. That would be definitely okay. Look, this is the thing about Adrian Newey. Every team should get him for 3 years. They should send him to Ferrari next year, then send him to. But see, Mercedes doesn't need Adrian Newey. They have James Allison. He's basically the same as Adrian Newey. He has basically about the same amount of championship. Everywhere he went,
with the ground effects,
everywhere he went, his cars were really good. So
because he was at
he was at Lotus for the longest time.
Lotus,
and then he was at
Brawn,
Ferrari.
right?
No,
was he at Brawn?
No.
Who? So the guy who was at Brawn, he's now in charge of Williams.
No,
right?
my Frey is the guy who's, and I think he left Renault recently, and Fry is his name, and he just went to Williams because remember when they had the shakeup at the Alpine team,
yeah. So
and he saw the writing on the wall. He's like, and he bounced before the axe came down. But he's the one I think had something to do with the McLaren. He was in McLaren, and I think he might have been at Brawn, but I don't know because remember Brawn used to be the Honda team, so
and then it became the Mercedes team.
Then became the Mercedes team. So a lot of the people who were at the Honda team in the 2000s are still there. But the majority of the team is,
a lot of the people from Brawn are at Mercedes still.
They don't leave the team. The team's the name change is the only thing that's different. So, but the higher up guys, the guys who are the higher up managers, those dudes switch teams because they get a better offer from another team.
More money,
so,
right?
More money, more problems.
More money, more problems, more problems, more money.
All right. Well, let's talk about this boring ass
all right,
race.
Super Max did his thing.
Super Max.
So why in turn 1 do they all just bow down and get out of the way?
They have to.
Why? Tell me why. Tell me why.
Because the only other alternative is to crash into each other.
Okay. Well, you know what? If he's not going to move, I'm not moving either.
Well, no, he had the line going into turn 1. Charles you have to have a wheel in front of someone to get the corner. The other person has to give way. It's just part of the deal.
But they always give way.
They have
The only person who doesn't give way is Lewis, and he's not up there fighting.
Poor Lewis. They asked him a question, and he's like, "They're like, what'd you think about your season?" And he's like,
"Thank God I can throw this thing in the trash can. I never want to see this car again."
Well, it's like this season was so bad, and it's the only other season that was this bad was probably 1988 when the McLaren had Senna and Prost. Then 2004 was Schumacher, and then this season, and maybe 2014. That was another bad year because there was the Mercedes just dominated that whole year.
Yeah, but at least Rosberg won a couple races.
Yeah, but Rosberg was as good as Hamilton. They're equals. That's the thing about these teams. You want an A driver and you want a B driver. You don't want two fucking A drivers because then you have a war, right? I mean, remember when that first time, because everyone said that these guys were childhood buddies and they raced on the same kart team, which was like the big dog kart team at the time. And they were like best friends. They roomed together, yada, yada, yada. And when Lewis came out and said, "We're not friends," I was like, oh.
Yeah, we're not friends.
I was like, oh, no.
There is no friendship here.
I was like, oh, no. And Nicky Lauda said in an interview, he's like, it was so bad over there. They didn't even say good morning to each other. Nothing,
really?
Nothing.
After 2016 or during 2016?
The whole time after 2014. Because in 2015, Rosberg almost won the championship again, but then he won it in 2016. And that's when the rift really became. It was more like 2014, 2015 when they both realized like, this is the person I got to beat, and he's my,
and that's it.
You're not teammates on these teams. There's team orders, and yeah, you got to obey those, but you have to beat that person. The only way to beat them is to out-qualify them. That's usually the way you're going to win. So
yeah, and then I think Hamilton was out-qualified probably for the first time in his whole career. Russell out-qualified him by, it was 12-11.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. The car's a piece of shit. It means nothing. This year is a complete wash. They never won a race. They were never in competition to win a race.
No.
Their car was always third or fourth. Their car was a compromise. James Allison stepped down, and they had somebody else design the car.
And he was a complete zero. And they said, James, here's all the money in the world. Come back to me, please, James.
No, it's not. It's not one person's fault. It's just he was the leader of the design team. You have like hundreds of people design. One guy designs like a nut. Another guy. I mean, it's like if you went to one of those places, you just sit there and go, "What are all these people doing here?" Because you think one guy designs the car. Adrian Newey doesn't design the car. He's just the leader behind the car, and he makes sure that everyone.
He just makes the drawing.
Yeah, he still draws with a pencil.
Yeah,
isn't that crazy?
Everything.
And then he gives it to the guys, and they put it in the computer.
I'd love to have an original Adrian Newey.
I'm sure they're out there.
Design of a car. I'm gonna have to look it up.
Look it up. They're out there.
Yeah, they're probably
$50,000, but you got the money. When all your kids finish college.
Yeah, when they all get out of school. So Perez knocks into Russell, and he gets a 5-second penalty.
No, he knocked into Lando.
And he gets a 5-second penalty.
That was a bullshit penalty.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. He drove into the corner a little too deep, and Lando didn't get out of the way. Remember you were talking about at the beginning? Knowing that he was not going to hit his apex. These guys have been doing this their whole careers. Even in karting, it's the same way. If I dive bomb you going into a corner, and I get ahead of you or I'm beside you, you have to give way. You have no choice, or that's what's going to happen. So
they gave him a 5-second penalty, though. You don't agree with the penalty?
No, it was just a racing incident, and then Lando got back ahead of him, and then he passed him again. So
then he passed him again, yeah.
So he was going past him. He was faster than he was.
Yeah, because it's a Red Bull.
It's the Red Bull.
And then Hamilton gets brake checked by Alonso. Now this is something
Alonso's like the best defensive driver. Him and Schumacher were the two best defensive drivers ever. He actually made a mistake. It wasn't a brake check.
Well, no, he wanted Hamilton to pass him so he can get him right back on the DRS.
Yeah, but he made a mistake going in. I don't think that Hamilton said on the radio he brake checked him, but that's not what a brake check is. A brake check is when you're coming off the corner and you hit the brakes when you're getting back onto the gas, and you hit the brakes and the person runs into the back of you.
Okay,
that's brake checking.
But he did run into the back of him, right?
No, he did run into the back. No, he ran into the back of one of the Alpines.
He ran into the back of Gasly, but I thought he didn't clip Alonso. He came close, but he didn't clip him.
Yeah, like if you see,
But he hit 2 people this race. He hit Gasly and he hit somebody else, I think, at the start of the race.
well, Gasly was like I wouldn't even call it a mistake. He just drove up on him, and it was a little faster than Gasly. I mean, he just barely touched him. So, but no, get back to Alonso. Alonso is the best freaking defensive driver ever.
Ever?
That what he
better
did,
than Senna? Better than Prost?
They were pretty good, and Schumacher was really good. But this dude, like, there's a couple races when he was racing against Schumacher back in the day at Imola, where one year Michael was ahead and was really good at backing him up, and one year Alonso was ahead, and Alonso was much slower than Michael, and he won the race. And the same thing with the Brazilian Grand Prix. He was not in a car that was competitive with the Red Bull, and he won the race. And he came, I mean, he really won. It was a win for that team,
right?
And then he passed Perez. I mean, when Perez passed him, I'm like, oh, this is over. And then he came back and passed.
Came back and passed him again.
And I mean, that was a W. I mean, I don't know how much money they get. They got to get a lot of money for getting on the podium. That's all I'm thinking. Maybe
what in their contract?
Oh, it's well, the teams get X amount of money for every race from Formula One. Now, we don't know what the purse money is. They never
disclose.
Yeah, but I'm thinking making it on the podium is probably $1 million for third, 2, or whatever.
Has to be something.
Well, yeah.
You know, what I find interesting is, you know, that's the new tactic. Like, okay, this guy's going to pass me. I'm going to let him pass on the straight because I know I got the DRS coming.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move over. Because when you look at the actual clip, Alonso's way over to the right, and there's all this track all over to the left that Hamilton could have just moved over to the left and passed him, but he didn't want to pass him because he knew the DRS was coming. But the thing is, he never passed him anyway because the car's a dog, and he didn't have the speed to pass him.
Well, I think the main problem with the Mercedes is the front end doesn't work. So when you go to turn in, it slides too much.
It has bad downforce also.
Well, it's a compromise. It's not okay. Remember, the car started off this year with no side pods, and then they put side pods on. That wasn't it didn't make the car that much. It made it a little better. It didn't make it a lot better.
Didn't make it a lot better.
It wasn't like the McLaren that was like, you know, in the teens, and then they changed the tires, and all of a sudden they're competing for podiums.
Just from tires.
That was crazy.
You know,
but Perez came in second in the championship, right?
He did.
Okay.
He came in second in the championship. Hamilton came in third.
And did Lando come in fourth or Leclerc? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
The only person that matters is Mad Max. He won the
I think Alonso came in fourth.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Alonso.
Oh, that's
came
a fucking
fourth. Yeah.
That's a good season for him.
That's a great season.
I'm wondering
for him.
what the Aston Martin's going to be like next year because their factory's up and running now. This is going to be the first car they're going to produce out of that factory.
I'm really interested in seeing what Alonso and Aston Martin can come up with.
Well, okay,
because they were really competitive in the beginning of the year.
Remember, there's a crazy rumor out there that he might end up at Red Bull, and then there would be
he's never. You know, that's never gonna happen. That would be the best day ever. And we talked about this a couple shows ago. That would be the best day ever for every podcast in the world. It would be the best day ever for every fan in the world. It would be the best day. I'm quitting my job. I'm going to Red Bull. I'm gonna sweep up trash on the ground just to be around, just to hear the crying of Max, because he would cry like nobody's business. You know, behind closed doors, he would say, "No way, no how, fuck that."
Yeah, he has no say. He has no say in the matter. None, zero. It would
he would cry his ass
It would
off.
be Marco and...
Did you see
Pearson?
when they asked, they're like, oh, well, just take a hypothetical world, and Lewis was in the second car. You should have seen the reaction from Max. He was like,
what? He's like, no. We're good.
He's like, well, first, that would never happen. And second, I don't believe in talking about hypotheticals. But when you look at his eyes and his body language, he was like, no.
Because he knows
way.
he's going to take wins away from him. And
Yeah.
he's probably going to he might take a championship away from him.
Yeah, why would you want that?
And like I said, there's like, that's why I think there's a chance Perez might get kicked to the curb, but every year he's been there, they won the championship. He came in second in the
there's no
championship.
need to get rid of him.
Yeah, it's like he's not better than Max, so but he's good enough.
He's good enough, and he's a perfect number two because he's not as good as some of the great number twos. He's not better than Webber. He's not better than Rosberg. I don't even think
Rosberg wasn't a number 2.
But he was for, quite a while. I mean, Lewis won all the championships and Rosberg won one.
But remember, Rosberg...
He started it. He was there before Lewis.
Rosberg barely won those championships. I mean, Hamilton, when Rosberg was there, he barely won the championship. There was no year where he just dominated.
No, I think it was, I want to say 2000... I thought the 2014 he was pretty fucking dominant.
No,
it was either 14.
They were 1 and 2 everywhere. There was one.
Yeah, no, they were 1 and 2. But I'm just saying, there was 1 year Hamilton had a pretty big margin.
The only time I think Rosberg's ever been a number 2 driver is when Schumacher was at Mercedes. Because when Schumacher came in, I'm sure it was in his contract. He's the number 1 driver.
And then before he got to Mercedes, right?
No, he was at Williams before he got to Mercedes.
He was the number 1 driver at Williams?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Because he came out of the box like lightning quick. I mean, everyone.
He was quick. I mean, a lot
of people. His first race, I think he came in second.
A lot of people don't talk about Nico as one of the, obviously he's only won 1 championship.
Well, no, because he didn't stay on.
And he didn't stay to defend it. But the guy was not only was he a good driver.
He was a great driver.
He was fast over one lap. He had racecraft. He was a good driver.
If Lewis wasn't at Mercedes and they had enough.
He'd have won all those
He would have won all those championships. Yeah. There's no doubt.
And when we're talking about Perez as far as a number 2, do you think Rubens Barrichello was better?
Oh, no. Rubens and Massa were both great number 2 drivers because Michael was the lead driver.
Mm-hmm.
So. And when Rubens left and went to the Honda team, I always thought that was a dumb decision because he never won. He didn't win another race until the Brawn car. And he only won 2 races that year. So, but no.
But he was in contention for the championship, though.
Not really. In Brawn?
Brawn. Yeah, all the way down to the last race, actually.
Nah, because
yeah, Jensen I just watched the freaking. They have a documentary on it, which actually is a good documentary. It's on Hulu, and it's if you have a Hulu, you should watch it. It's on Brawn.
Why did Keanu Reeves do a documentary?
I don't know. I think he likes Formula One, and it was a good documentary. It was very in depth, and they went and talked to all these people, and they showed the clips.
So nuts! It was like how. That team did what they did, where they had a car that was designed with a Honda engine in it, and they put a Mercedes engine in it, and it won the fucking championship. It's just insane. It's
because Honda didn't want to put the engine in there for some reason.
No, they didn't want to pay the money to do it. They had to pay a certain amount of money to keep the team afloat for a year because you're not allowed to fire more than 200 employees in England or something like that. So they had to at least keep. I think there was some law that said they had to give them some money, but they couldn't. Their engine development, that's the most expensive part about Formula One is whoever's developing the engine. That's where all the money goes.
And they got the engine from Mercedes.
And it did not fit in the car. They had to do some shit to make that car work. And it worked. It was so crazy.
And then that also, from what I remember, it actually is a really good documentary. What I also remember is they got money from Virgin.
Not much.
Yeah, but enough to put on the car and enough to at least keep them afloat because they were saying
no, that wasn't the money they got from Formula One. There was $30 million.
But they were saying through the documentary that they normal things that you would throw away, they couldn't throw. Like if a nut dropped on the floor, you had to find that nut. Like if a nut dropped, but can you imagine that? Like a nut drops on the floor, everyone stops. They're like, you need to find.
Remember
that
car never had any updates that whole year, and it still won the championship. The Red Bull, if you see the Red Bull that year,
it's a double diffuser. That's Brawn is the first double diffuser.
No. Toyota had the double diffuser, and so did Williams. No one ever talks about that.
No. 2 other teams had it that year,
Toyota and
but
Williams.
they did the best job of the. But he was saying it's not just a double diffuser.
It was the outwash of the front wing, and there was other things to the car.
Because they actually had to go to a FIA tribunal with your guy Ross Brawn, and getting everybody to come on board and not get rid of the double diffuser.
Well,
because Ferrari was the lead on complaining about it.
Well, yeah, because they all had to put double diffusers on their car, which means it took them like 6 months to do that. But it was supposed to be in the rules. They weren't allowed to have a double diffuser, and then they put a double diffuser on the car, and the FIA was like, "No, you can have that."
Yeah, they did a total Red Bull.
But if you see the Red Bull that in the 2009 season, the car they started the season with, and the car they ended the season with, are 2 completely different cars. They had so many updates to that car over
this year.
No, 2009.
Oh, 2009. Okay.
So Okay, what's the net?
Moving on. I don't know why. Sometimes when there's not enough things to talk about during the season that they're bringing up. Just recently, they're bringing up, Red Bull reached out to Hamilton's people, and before he signed with Mercedes for the next his next contract, that he was negotiating with Red Bull, and so they're saying Hamilton's people were, and that's what Christian before he signed with Mercedes.
Everybody tried to get him. Ferrari tried to get him, and because everyone knew he was going to leave that year because there was that 2012 season was such a bad year. He probably should have went to Red Bull if he went. But the Red Bull cars weren't that good for the first couple years. They weren't that good.
They're saying before he signed this new contract, when Ferrari was trying to negotiate, remember
they offered him $40 million.
And Ferrari offered him 40, and then Red Bull. They're saying Christian Horner's saying that Hamilton's people reached out to him, and Hamilton's saying no. Their people reached out to my people, and it doesn't really.
It's just semantics.
He's like, it doesn't really matter who reached out to who, but this is part of negotiation. If I'm going to get a contract from Mercedes, I'm going to negotiate with whoever. I'm a free agent.
All
do whatever I want.
See how close me and Sherman are together? They're this close to each other all the time. They're all sharks. They're all swimming. There's blood in the water always. But yeah, I don't think
we would be honored if you would join us. We would be honored if you would join us. You would
just start like a war where Lewis doesn't talk to Max doesn't talk to Lewis.
Yeah, it would be unnecessary.
Do crazy shit. Like the worst ever was Alonso and Hamilton and McLaren in 2007. That was the worst case scenario.
You think it's worse than the 2016 Rosberg Hamilton?
It was way worse.
You think so? What about when Senna and Prost, the year before Prost left?
All they did was stop talking to each other. Fernando Alonso tried to bribe Ron Dennis to get Lewis out of the car.
No! Tell me that story. I didn't hear this.
True story.
No! Because Mike, tell me that one. I've heard inklings of this story, but I've never heard it really in context.
True story.
Okay.
He went and there was remember the when McLaren got fined $100 million.
Yes.
He went to Ron Dennis and said, "If you don't take him out of the car, I'm gonna rat you out to the FIA for that." That's the word on the street. That's the rumor.
What?
Yeah. And Ron Dennis instantly called the FIA, and that started the investigation that they had to pay the $100 million, which ruined their team.
$100 million. And this is back in the early 2000s, right?
It was 2008, I think, when that.
Do you think they paid the $100 million?
Oh, they had to. They had no choice. That's what ruined their team. That's why Mercedes started their own team. It was because of Alonso. And Mercedes wanted Alonso out of the car before this all popped off. There was so much crazy shit behind that. Fernando was fucking nuts. He lost his effing mind.
Why is there not a book on this season? Why is there not
2007?
Why is there not a book on 2007 season? And
Ronnie Howard, you made Rush, which was the greatest Formula One movie ever besides Grand Prix. You should either do the 2007 season or the 2008 season, or do them together. That would be a great movie. Because remember, you start off at the 2007 series and then you end in the last race of the 2008 season when Massa won the race, won the championship, and Lewis passed Jarno Trulli on the last corner of the last lap and won by a point.
That should be a movie.
That would be a great movie. And Ron Howard would have to do it because you need someone who's not like...
We should write that.
I don't want to write a movie.
We should write that movie.
All right.
That would be an awesome movie. I'm surprised that no one, like even Netflix, even Lewis Hamilton, like he has the money. That season needs to be told, but I don't think Alonso would like it.
Oh, fuck no. Could you imagine that scene where he's in Ron Dennis's office like, excuse me, but I want you to take the boy out of the car. Could you imagine? Could you imagine that? Like, what? How you could do something crazy like that? I mean... And then Mercedes wanted Alonso out of the car.
But the ball's on him to do something like that. I mean, that's some big ass balls to be like, I want this guy out, or I'm going to rat you out.
That's a competitor for you. He was wielding a knife. You know, I mean, he just came out like, look, motherfucker, I'm gonna cut you if you don't do this. But anyways,
oh man, we've talked about that season.
Well, yeah, it's one of the great
I think we
seasons.
talked. Did we? No. You know what we did? We talked about the race, the last race. We had a special on just that last race
2008
of the 2008 season of in Brazil, where Hamilton. We talked about that as the greatest. We did our greatest race series on the off season. Last year.
Moss is suing the FIA right now.
He's not going to win.
I know.
Give me a break.
But it's a cute story.
Give me a break.
That could be at the end of the movie. In 2023, Moss is suing.
Dude, you're not going to win. If you won that, then Hamilton wins 2021. Then all the other championships where Schumacher ran into somebody and this happened and that happened, they would all be into play. And you think they're going to do that? No way. You think they're going to go back to all the Super Bowls and all the... It's just not going to happen, dude. You're just wasting time. The reason why I hear is that the Massa family lost a lot of money on an investment, and so they're trying to figure out ways to recruit money. And they're just trying to get paid. They don't really care about getting some trophy. He
lost the championship.
He lost.
Period.
Well, we're not talking about the problems we had in refueling. Remember where he drove off and he had the freaking refuel cups still attached to his damn car?
Those are the good old days when they got to refuel and they would get a set of soft tires and just get to do full blown laps. That was why Schumacher was so good.
10-1 in 10th place. Lance Stroll. I just don't like Lance Stroll.
He can't drive. He's not a good driver.
It's not even that he's a bad driver.
He's a bad driver.
But it's not just that. His personality is like a wet blanket.
He's had a silver spoon stuck up his ass his whole life. What are you talking about?
All these guys are rich.
No, they're
Give
not.
me a break. Lando's dad is super rich. All these guys have money.
Now,
a lot of them have
Gasly's
money.
parents didn't have any money. Ocon's parents didn't have any money. Lewis Hamilton's parents definitely didn't have any money.
No, but the majority of them come from money. The majority of Formula One drivers
let's go down
come
the list.
from money.
Verstappen, they were okay.
They okay? Yeah, they had money.
They weren't like Richie Riches,
No,
but they were okay.
had money.
Perez, not really.
No, but he has Mexico. He has
he got the Telemex money.
and he's had that since
he was probably driving
day one. So he has money.
Fernando, I don't know if he comes from money or not.
I think he does.
He might.
Yeah, he wasn't. Yeah,
because Spain is like either you're rich or you're poor there.
Right.
Like, so
there's no middle ground.
Then Piastri.
Russell.
I think he comes from pretty good. I think.
Doesn't his dad own some company or something?
There you go. Because remember now,
Leclerc.
I don't think he comes from. He's from Monaco.
He's from Monaco. To live in Monaco, you have to have $1 million
now to buy it now. But I don't know when his parents.
So Leclerc, I'm sure, has money.
Who else? Sonoda. Does he come from money?
Well, he has the Honda backing, so it doesn't. Right.
What about
matter.
Ricciardo?
I've never heard of his background, but they have a ranch in
So I don't know what that means if
Australia. So
because you could be a farmer and make pretty good money, and then be a farmer and make a lot of money.
Right.
So
Lando, his dad owns.
What about Hülkenberg?
Hülkenberg, I don't know.
He's from Germany.
From Germany.
And then there's Magnussen. He's from Denmark, right?
Yeah. I don't know if
I don't know if he came from money, but I know that Lewis definitely didn't come from money. That story about Lewis
Piastri, I don't know.
I don't think so.
I haven't really delved into these guys' backgrounds.
Well, because nowadays,
but I know to get to Formula One,
expensive.
It's so expensive.
Okay, even
just a season of karting is like 150,000.
Yeah, that's the low. That's the low number. And Kyle Busch from NASCAR said that the Truck Series, which is supposed to be the feeder series to go, you have to go to Xfinity, then Cup. He says 2/3 of the because his family doesn't come from money. 2/3 of the Truck Series now, like 80%, he said, is like all rich kids, all of them. So the avenue to get to the up, like some of these people, like Lewis Hamilton, definitely needs to have a racing academy. So he can pick
They say that he does. I've heard.
Well, I know Rosberg has a team,
right?
But I don't know how much does he put money into it. Does the families put money into it? I don't know. But they need to have something because you need to have the best drivers. When you have a bunch of scrubs like Lance Stroll, not a good driver. Sonoda, he's all right.
Man, hey, Don't start on Yuki. He's everybody's favorite second driver.
But then Sargent is another one. He's a rich kid from Miami.
Now, do you think that he should? Well,
he's going to get it. They're going to put Liam Lawson in the car for sure.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
Sargent can't come back, can he?
No. He had that one race.
Yeah.
Where he showed up.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. Look what happened to DeFries this last year. He had one race with Williams in 2022. And Red Bull went and snatched him up, and they gave him 10 races, and we're like, yeah, we've seen
good
enough.
Yeah.
So the Williams team needs whoever the driver is going to be to bring money, and Liam Lawson brings Red Bull money. So
yeah, because they're going to have to pay.
And he's a good driver. Yeah, he's always been a good driver. There's too many people in his way, because I'm sure Sonoda brings crazy money from Honda.
Yeah.
Ricciardo brings Ricciardo because he's one of the most popular drivers in Formula One, so he doesn't have to bring money. And then there's Perez and Verstappen in the Red Bull camp. No one's going anywhere. Then you go to Mercedes. No one's going anywhere there. Ferrari, everyone's staying at Ferrari.
Yeah, the poor guy, Porsche, and there's a couple doing all these guys in F2. There's no place for them.
No,
all they can do is be like the test driver.
They can go to Formula E. They can go to IndyCar, or they can go to the world. The WEC, the World Endurance Championship.
Yeah, there's no place for them in Formula One right now, which is kind of sad.
Going to IndyCar right now is so difficult. The cars are all the same.
Yeah, you gotta be on it. I mean,
it's the most competitive series. The races are even more boring than Formula One because
they're in a damn oval. That's why.
Well, no. Most of their races are road courses, but the person who's in the lead has such an advantage. It's very difficult to pass. All the cars are the same. There's 2 engine manufacturers, I think, right now. There's Chevy and Honda. They haven't really, and the cars have been the same for like over a decade now.
Yeah, they need to change the look of the cars.
They just changed them a few years ago, but they kept the tub, the actual part.
I don't like how the IndyCar looks.
I think it looks all right, but it's an IndyCar. It's supposed to look like that.
Yeah, but I think they should change the look a little bit. Maybe give me while everyone's going to this sustainable fuel crap. Maybe they should go the other way.
There you go.
No, seriously. Think about it.
Put a 12-liter engine.
Yeah, go get a V10, get a V12.
Do something that gets like different. Half a mile to the gallon.
Exactly. But just to make it different.
All the car series will be electric by 2030 or 2035.
And if that happens, I will no longer be doing this show.
All right.
I won't. I will not.
Who came in?
Listen. I will not go to an all-electronic engine race of any kind, period, end of story. I won't watch. I won't look. I won't go. I won't spend money. I won't buy any merch. I'll just watch the races from the days of old and leave it at that. If it's an electric engine, I'm not going. I'm not watching.
All right. We'll serve it up. What's next?
Yeah.
That's right.
What's that button do?
Deep breathing.
Oh. Sherman he's going to take a timeout now.
Lewis Hamilton finished in 9th. He didn't have
a good race.
He just didn't have a good race. He passed a lot of people. He didn't have a great season, and he still finished 3rd in the championship.
Really?
What does that say about all the other drivers?
Well, it says that Lewis is one of the GOATs. I mean,
by his standards, he had a bad season.
Okay.
And he still finished 3rd in the championship. And he would have finished 2nd in the championship if it wasn't for some of these bullshit disqualifications. And
the 3 best drivers in Formula One right now are Max, because he's got the best car, Lewis, because he's the GOAT, and then Fernando, who should have like 10 championships right now, but he kept shooting himself in the foot.
Yeah.
He should have never left Renault and went to the McLaren team, because the Renault team was all for him. It was
all him. It was his team.
It was like, what? And he got mad.
How do you leave that?
He got mad in a race. And there was one race he got mad in, and he was screaming at the idiots, or his crew for making a bad pit call or something like that. I think. And
then they said enough of this shit.
And then the next week it was announced he's going to McLaren, and it was like, what the hell did you do that for? David Hobbs, who used to be one of the Formula One announcers, was like at the time was like going, what on earth is going on with his brain? Because he would have won the 2007 championship and maybe the 2008 championship.
If he would have stayed.
They never know.
But he didn't.
Anyways.
In 8th place, my guy, The man that everybody loves. The little cuddly guy. The little Godzilla. Yuki Tsunoda.
He slides all over the place.
Man,
all
he
the
could have
time.
had. He was in sixth for a long time, and it just the car eighth is. That's the top of that car.
Yeah, I was
that's what he's finished. Pretty much
what we said at the beginning of the season. Any of the back markers, the Alpha Tauri, Alfa Romeo, and the Williams team, any of those guys finish in the points, that's a W. Period. And the Haas too.
The Haas, yeah. And that was John Todd's last race.
Jean Todt,
he's gone.
What do you mean?
The head of AlphaTauri.
No, Jean Todt's not.
Damn it! What's his name? It's a German name.
What the fuck are you talking about?
The head of AlphaTauri. He's leaving. This is his last season.
What's his name?
Last race.
He retired.
Yeah, his name.
I'm gonna remember it the second.
Yeah, well, as soon as you remember, let us know.
All right. Well,
okay.
Sherman's gonna put it in the prescription up.
Yeah, it's my fault.
Or put it right here.
Yeah, I knew his name and then I didn't.
Yeah, and they're gonna change the name of AlphaTauri next year to something else. I hope they go.
They should.
I hope they go back to Toro Rosso.
No.
Yeah.
AlphaTauri does. I don't like the name. I never did.
I loved Toro Rosso because it means Red Bull in Italian, and they're an Italian team. Anyways,
in seventh place, Fernando Alonso.
He drove another great race, considering his car did not work at that track very well.
Well, he's seventh, and Stroll's 10th.
Did Stroll ever? Was he ever ahead of Fernando this year?
Yeah, he had a couple races. He finished ahead of Fernando.
Well, if
maybe three,
because there were rumors going around that Lawrence Stroll sold Aston Martin.
That's what I've heard.
And if that's true, then Aston Martin should go out and get Vettel and put him back in the car, and they'd have fucking two goats.
If he wants to race again.
Oh, fuck yeah, he wants to race again. It's nonsense.
I would say, and this might be controversial.
All right.
If it was me and I had to give a seat away, instead of bringing in one of the young guys, I would promote Hulkenberg from that horrible Haas car.
Yeah, the Haas car.
And put him in a car where he could actually score some major points. The guy is constantly in qualifying in third in Q3 with that dog, and Magnussen's way, he'll qualify like 8th or 9th. And Magnussen will be like 16th. The guy has proven that he, of all people, deserves a top
I have
team.
no idea what the deal with Hulkenberg is. He's always been quick, and he for some reason, none of the teams hire him. I mean, he was on the Renault factory team for a minute, and then they fired him. And then they had Sainz on that same team. They fired him, too. That's why the Alpine needs... I mean, they just need somebody like Ross Brawn to show up.
Yeah, they're really bad as far as.
And then
personnel.
they fired all their guys. They fired Omar, and they fired. Oh God, who's the other guy that they fired? They fired the head of.
He was there for like 30 years. 30 years or something. Like you were just talking about him last couple.
Anyways, it's like that. It's one of those teams. They just shoot themselves in the foot
all the time, and they did something stupid like. For a long time, Gasly was like running like 4th, 5th, 6th in this race. He was doing really well till those tires fell off. Mm. For whatever reason, their pit wall pitted Ocon first.
James Allison.
Yeah, they pitted Ocon first and gave him the undercut. And the undercut at this track is super powerful. And you could hear him going, well, I'm ahead. Why did you pit him first?
They pitted
why'd you do that?
First?
Yeah. He's like, why? And they're like, we will talk about it after. And he's like, no. Why'd you do that? Like, he wanted an answer like right then. He's like, it makes no sense.
No, it wasn't James Allison.
No, it wasn't. James Allison's...
he's Mercedes.
He's Mercedes.
No, he's the guy who was telling... bugging Kimi on the radio that time in Abu Dhabi, and he's like, stop bothering me. I know what to do. That's the greatest ever.
So
we should bring Kimi back. They should bring Kimi back.
Nah, he's probably happy.
Oh, God.
In 6th place, Oscar Piastri.
He drove a pretty good race.
He did. He hit Hamilton in the beginning. He says that compromised his wing, and it was never really the same. But
well, they need that wing for the front of the car, so that's what helps the car turn.
That's what he said. It wasn't really the same, But also, Lando had, Lando's majority of the time has quicker race pace because Oscar did remember, qualify ahead of Lando, and they just swapped the cars because Lando's pace was just so good.
Well, yeah, qualifying is important, but the racecraft and the race pace is even more. Is way more
Yeah, and the guy's a rookie. He had a great season for a rookie. He's one of the few rookies we've seen on the podium quite a few times.
2 or 3.
Yeah, and he won a sprint race, so which Lando hasn't even done yet, or won a race. So
who's next?
In 5th place, Lando Calrissian.
Oh, so they were back.
They're back to back.
All right, okay. Yeah, Lando. I thought he was going to do better in this race. He just never got up there. He was never hanging out with Leclerc and
No. He was never challenging up at the front. I think he had a couple fast laps, but he even says it was a mistake in qualifying that ruined my race. And
There you go.
sometimes I gotta, just like Hamilton. Hamilton qualified 11th. And he even says this is probably one of my worst qualifying years I've had because
the car sucks.
I hated the car. And
he can't turn the car.
Yeah.
You see it on TV when he goes to turn the car, and the front of the car does this.
Yeah.
It slides. Anytime you do that.
But then, why would Russell have a better time in qualifying over the majority of the season than Hamilton did?
It was like by one race.
By one, yeah, by one. But still,
If the car was not a good car. The car, if you can't drive the car to the maximum and use your ability to drive the car, because I'm telling you, I mean, Russell's a good driver, but
he's no Lewis Hamilton.
he could be. You don't know that because he hasn't been in a car that he was in the Williams for 3 years, and then he shows up at Mercedes, and then the car doesn't work. So you don't know. All these guys, I'm telling you, all these guys, the 4, what I call the young guys, but they're not young anymore, is Max, Leclerc, Lando, and
Carlos Sainz?
no, not Carlos.
Russell?
All those guys, if you put them in the Red Bull this year, they would have won the championship. They're all proven race-winning championship drivers in the feeder series. They all won everything coming up. So, and remember, Russell beat Lando in the F2 championship by 1 point. So they're real. I mean, they're just super close together. And winning a championship, by the way, if it's close like that, is so random. Because I mean, if you lose a championship, like when Lewis lost in 2021. He didn't lose it at Abu Dhabi. He lost it before Abu Dhabi.
Well, he lost it, in my opinion, he lost at Baku
Yeah.
when Max was out of the race.
He should-
and
he
all
should-
he had to do is, all he got to do is stay in the top 10. He was leading the race, and he just burned his tires and went straight.
Championships are random. Ask Dan Marino or Jim Kelly about championships. They were on great football teams. They're Hall of Famers. And Jim Kelly didn't win one because of the kicker. Marino never won one because they never had a running game. And then they came up against the 49ers at the Super Bowl, and the 49ers destroyed them.
Waxed them.
But anyways, who's next?
Checo in 4th place.
Which he finished second, but he had that stupid 5-second penalty, right?
Yeah, he
That's-
finished second, and he had the
was-
5-second penalty, and then
Never mind.
back he went. And I think Checo.
Did he finish? Where did he start at?
I thought he finished behind Lewis, so he started at 12th.
Okay. Damn, that was good. That was good. 12 to second. That's pretty good.
But when I think about Checo, I think he's a better defensive driver than he is as far as passing people, racecraft. His passing at times is quite clumsy, in my opinion. Man, wait. We're trying to do a show, and you're on the damn phone. Well, I mean, what's so important that you got to look at your phone? But you're not working. So why do you have to look at your phone? But then you can look at your phone at any time during the
Anyways,
day.
come on, let's finish this.
Right?
I got to get going.
Yeah,
Always busy, Mike.
3rd place, George Russell.
George Russell, very nice race. Very well done. Professional drive.
For once.
No, come on now.
For once.
Russell's pretty good. I just said
For
2 seconds
once.
ago. He's just as good as the rest of the 4.
Except he finished 8th in the championship, so he's not just as good.
So Lewis finished 3rd.
Lewis finished 3rd. Russell finished 8th.
Russell had a bunch of. He didn't have mechanical issues this year.
In a brain,
Oh, yeah, never
crashing
mind.
into people.
Who came in second?
Give
Your
me
favorite person?
Charles Leclerc.
The most unlucky Formula One driver
Unbelievable.
ever.
The guy has, I think he's up to 25 poles, and he's only won 5 races out of those 25, which is not good percentage. Historically, if you are on pole, you have a 90% chance of winning the race.
Oh yeah, it's a huge advantage.
But not for him.
Like when I won my championship in
here we go. When I won my championship back in the 30s,
every time I qualified on the pole, I won the race. So
you were not Charles Leclerc then.
I might be better.
You might be better. No,
probably not. Probably not.
Of course, in first place,
the new goat,
the
king has been crowned.
King
Long live
of the world. Super Max Verstappen.
Okay, I want to give my 2024 prediction right now because I don't think I'm going to watch the races next year because I probably won't have to. Max Verstappen is going to win all the races next year. Could you imagine if that happened?
If he won all the races next year, do you think anybody other than the people who live in the Netherlands will watch a race?
Yeah, of course. It's the second most popular sport in the world behind soccer. So.
Is it?
Yeah. Like,
excuse me.
Like the World Cup, like 500 million people watch a World Cup.
Wow.
And 400 and something million people watch every Formula One race because it's a worldwide sport. America, we're an isolated country. That's why it's so difficult to get an American into Formula One because they have to go to Europe, and you have to go over there when you're 15. You don't get to come home for 3 or 4 months. And all the kids from Europe, and the kids from all around the world are more European than American. They're all, a lot of them can pick up the language really easily. And Americans go over there and we're like, ¿Dónde está la playa? I mean, ¿Qué tal, chica? And then they have nothing. Then they can do nothing.
Oh man,
but it's true. Like it's super hard. But it's like it's a world sport, and we're not a world country. We're an isolated country, so.
We got that water in between us.
Yeah.
What a great season, though. I wonder how it. Like I always say, I just wonder how it is to know.
It wasn't a great season. It was
for him.
Well,
for Max, it was.
For Verstappen, it was the greatest
for everybody
season
else
ever, man.
For Super Max.
Yeah. What the fuck is this?
Max.
Oh my God! You got a bobblehead.
We got a bobblehead, Max bobblehead. But for him,
we got to take his credit card away. It's got to happen.
I like this bobblehead. It's the Max bobblehead.
Oh, just note, travel plans. I'm going to Thailand for 3 weeks in January.
Oh.
I'm gonna be sending pics and videos to Sherman so he can post them so I can show you guys the places.
When are you leaving?
I am leaving at 11:50 p.m. January 21st.
Wow. For how long? 3
weeks.
And they let you off your job for 3 weeks?
Okay, this is the deal. Since I work where I work at, I only have 2 days a week on my bid. So I only had to take 4 days off to get 3 weeks off.
Oh, wow. That's
nuts?
awesome. That's amazing. Silly season's about to start, Mike. Give me some predictions for silly season.
There's everybody's confirmed for next year already.
Everybody.
The only thing that could possibly happen is Perez retires. That's the only. There's been rumors about that, but he's always said that I have a contract for 2024, and he does. And I mean, unless Red Bull pull the trigger, and Red Bull's they always pull the trigger, so that would be that's the only change that can happen in Formula One. That or Sargent. Those are the only.
And that's
things.
it. Yeah, nobody else.
And Sargent's they've already told him he's not coming back next year.
You think so?
Oh yeah, and there's a test this week, right?
There is a test.
So if you see Liam Lawson in the Williams this week, then you'll know.
Then you'll know. That'll tell us a lot.
And Checo, I mean, I could see Ricciardo going back to Red Bull because last summer when they had that test the day after the British Grand Prix, and his lap times would have put him second on the grid. And Ricciardo's a better driver than Perez.
I think so.
But they're not going to... Why? Why would they do that? Just let him drive in 2024 and then put Ricciardo back in the car in 2025, and then 2026, everything changes again.
Right.
So
I don't see a reason to rock the boat for Red Bull right now. I mean, literally, Max could have won the championship by himself. That's how many points he had.
Yeah.
He had double the points of Perez. He had more points than Mercedes. He had more points than Ferrari by himself. So by himself, with me or you in the car, scoring 0 points every race, he would have still won the championship and the Constructors' Championship.
Yeah, there was like an ass whooping. You can't. I mean, you want to. I mean, how many were there? 22 races this year,
and he won 19 of them.
And that means Perez won two, and Sainz won the other one. Yeah, I'm just saying next year, I mean, the car is so much faster. I mean, the only thing that's going to happen next year, Ferrari and Mercedes are going to have something that looks a lot like the Red Bull. That's my prediction. But the floor is the most important part, and everyone saw the floor at Monaco. So,
well, for Mercedes, they're going to have to improve their pit stops. Their pit stops are horrendous.
Yeah, but their car needs to be faster. Their car is slow. Even... It's slow going down the straightaways. It's slow going through the corners. It's just slow.
It's a slow car.
And
I always wonder why they're the factory team, but the Williams down the straight's faster.
Well, that's because they take
all the McLaren's better in the corners.
It's easy to go fast down the straightaway. You just take the wing off the car. Come on now. It's like that's why when they get to the corners, they're so slow.
Yeah, but then McLaren is a customer team, and they had a better car.
So it's the high. Anyways, The Mercedes team and all the other teams came out with a crap idea.
Yeah.
And in the 2022 season, remember the beginning of the season looked like Ferrari was going to whoop ass.
True.
Because the Red Bull broke a couple times, which the Red Bull net this year never broke.
Never
once.
Never broke down.
Unbelievable. Every update they brought to the car worked.
Yeah. Jinxed by a Coke.
And you look at all the other teams, like the Ferrari team, they completely changed the concept of that car halfway through the season. It sort of worked, but the next year's car, I'm just telling you, if everyone saw the floor of the car and if that was the big deal with the car, which I think it was, because everyone was talking like, oh my God, look what they did to the bottom of that car. You know, it was like...
We are going to take a couple weeks off, and then we're going to come back with the season ending, the review of Max's podcast season. And then it's going to be Christmas, then it's going to be New Year, and then in the New Year, while we're waiting for Formula One, we'll do a couple of shows on. I want to do shows on the champions. I want to start this show called The Champions, and we just talk about all the race champions of Formula One and give like the Drive to Survive crowd backgrounds into Formula One and backgrounds into the champions.
They want to see the soap opera they made. That's all Drive to Survive is a soap opera.
Yeah.
Anyways, on that note,
the end of the 2023 Formula One season. Thanks for joining us here at America F1. Remember, it's MERICA F1. We're on
YouTube,
Spotify,
Hula,
Amazon.
Are we on Paramount?
No. We're on also on YouTube, and we're also on TikTok, where we get lots of views on TikTok. We do like things on TikTok, and we're like very loved on TikTok. So thank you for loving us on TikTok. Please start loving us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Music or Apple Podcasts. We are wherever you get podcasts. We're there. Thank you for joining us on another Max Verstappen dominant race. Make it stop, Mike. Make it stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
Oh, cool.
I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying...
Oh, okay.